Welcome to a Paparazzi Entertainment. Please subscribe to my channel.
Most ruthless gangster in the area. Seeing that the boss in front of him didn't pay his debt, he grabbed a bucket of petrol. Without saying a word, he drank it down. After drinking it, he forced the boss to drink it with him. The boss had no choice but to take out 3 piles of money. The man took out 1 pile and threw it on the table and said,
애들 학원비라며 공부는 시켜야 될 거 아니야.
He threw up against the wall and vomited furiously. That day he came to the hospital again to collect his debt, but he never thought he would meet the love of his life here. Just as he was about to go in and demand the money, the debtor's daughter suddenly appeared in front of him. For a moment, the man was mesmerized. His eyes immediately changed from fierce to tender. As he watched the debtor turn into a vegetable, the man knew that the money would never be recovered. He took out an agreement to sell his body and threw it at the debtor's daughter. If she didn't agree, her father's oxygen tube would be removed. In order to keep her father alive, the girl had to sign the agreement in tears. Although the debt collection was a success, but the man couldn't feel happy. That day, the man who was collecting the debt met the girl again. He followed her all the way to the hospital. He found out that the girl couldn't even afford to pay her father's medical bills, not to mention the scary loan sharks. For the first time in his 40 years of single life, this man felt compassion. He approached his boss. He wanted to use the girl's share of the debt to offset this year's year-end bonus. The boss saw what the man was thinking. In the end, he reluctantly agreed to do so. The man went home and wrote a handwritten dating manual overnight. The next day he finds the girl. He took out the agreement she had signed last time. Then he took out the new date book.
여기 네모칸 보이지? 하루에 1시간씩 네가 나 만나줄 때마다 이 네모칸에 색깔을 칠할 거야. 여기가 다 칠해지면 네 거가 돼.
Although the offer was very tempting, but the girl, wary, refused. The man seemed to have read her mind. Before he left his card. And sure enough, the next day, the girl approached the man on her own initiative. For the sake of her father, she decided to agree to his request, but only if she could walk and talk with him.
너 몇 살이냐? 우리가 70 먹은 노치네야. 만나서 얘기하는 걸로 하루에 몇십만 원씩 까주는 게 말이 돼?
없던 일로 하죠.
Seeing her attitude so strong, the man had to agree to the girl's condition, only a walk and a chat for an hour. Finally, he tried to add a request to have dinner together. At this point, the girl seemed to see through the man's mind. Seeing that the girl had seen his thinking, the man was embarrassed and made an excuse to leave. The next day, the girl signed a contract, the first meal with the man. Although the girl didn't eat a single bite, but the man was still very happy about their first date. From then on, the man will start to pay attention to his dressing. He would often ask the cleaning lady to bring the girl some nutritious food. The girl was very surprised to see this, but when she saw that they were from a man outside, she tossed them aside in disgust. The two of them still didn't say a word on their dates. The girl still didn't move her chopsticks. Until this day, a scene in the ward changed the girl's mind. I didn't expect that normally fierce-looking gangster. He was so caring. By the time they went on their next date, the girl finally picked up the chopsticks and ate with him. When the man brought her the dumplings, the girl also began to accept. And in order to see her one more time, the man would deliberately come to the bank where the girl worked to deposit money, and only deposit $1 at a time. That cute look really made the girl laugh. The two of them started to get closer and closer, but the man was so busy with his love that he began to neglect his work. To remind him of this, the boss sent his boys to smash up the place he managed. To protect the vendors, the man had to show his gangster style of work, but the girl saw the scene. From then on, the girl was going to far away from him.
돈 갚을 테니까 다시는 찾아오지 마.
And so they broke off contact, and the man went back to eating alone. Until the day he heard from a colleague that the girl's father had died. He immediately rushed to the scene to express his feelings. Seeing that the place was cold and empty, he started to use his connections again. He asked the vendor to send some offerings. Listening to the vendor's thanks, the girl realized. It turned out that the man had fought to protect them last time. She had misjudged the man. Watching the man work all night to take care of his father's funeral, the girl was completely moved. After her father was buried, the girl found an empty rooftop. She found the courage to confess her love to him.
그럼 내가 좋아요?
Looking at the man's shy face, the girl managed to make him laugh too. After that, they finally got together. They lived an ordinary life, but also full of sweetness and happiness. The The girl felt that the man was a gift from her father, so she cherishes this relationship. On this day, the girl took out her father's insurance money. She hoped that he would quit his job to open a fried chicken restaurant together. Looking at the girl's vision of the future, the man agreed to do so, and found the boss to quit his job. At this time, the boss said that he had a project that would not lose money. After the job, the man will be able to live and work without any worries. But the man, determined to live a good life, refuses. He says that he will take back the money before he leaves. In order to have the life the girl wants as soon as possible, the man collects the debt even harder than before. But just as the debtor opens the safe, the man suddenly foamed at the mouth and collapsed. When he wakes up again, the doctor tells him he has a tumor in his brain, and that he didn't have much time left. At night he can't sleep for a long time, thinking about the last time he and the girl visited the shop. He could see that the girl was very happy with it, but said the shop was not good because the price was too high. At that moment he had a bold idea. He wanted to use the deposit to bet that the girl would have no worries for the rest of her life. The next day he gave the money to the owner. The boss also said he would win. By the next day, the owner of the casino had won a lot of money. At this point, the man also sends a text message to the girl, telling her to hold off the landlord for a while longer. He would soon get the money to rent her the shop. But the story never goes so smoothly. A group of robbers burst in, armed with weapons. They ransacked the casino. The man struggled to keep his share, but there were so many of them. Finally, the man struggles to remove a man's hood. Only then did he realize that it was one of his boss's men. It turned out to be a trap that his boss had set for him. After all this, the man lost his dream of opening a fried chicken restaurant for the girl. The landlord, who was late in showing up, also said to the girl's face that they were untrustworthy people. The girl feels ashamed of herself. She found him at the restaurant where they had their first date. Looking at his bruised body, the girl was also disappointed.
안 그러기로 했잖아.
But in the face of the girl's cries, the man still had the heart to say the most hurtful words.
내가 너랑 씨발 저런 일을 할 줄 알았어?
The man knew he could no longer give her happiness. He didn't want him to go through the same pain as the last time he lost his father. Perhaps this is the best outcome for the girl. After the girl left, he was alone in his grief of separation. Overwhelmed, he had a confrontation with the neighboring table. He was sent to prison. The prison learns that the man has cancer. For humanitarian reasons, he was originally sentenced to 3 years. He was released after 2 years. When he was released from prison, he found the girl first. He bought her nutrition as before. But in return, the girl said,
네가 죽어버렸으면 좋겠어.
After that, the man's health got worse and worse. He got sick more and more often. For 2 years he never forgot the girl's dream of opening a fried chicken restaurant. He used his contacts to find the boss who had designed him. He hoped that he would return his share of the money. Instead, he was beaten up, thrown in the freezer and frozen to death. When he was released, he was frozen to death. At the end of his tether, the man had to put aside all his dignity.
된다. 그냥 그 돈만 돌려줘.
Looking at him, the boss finally gave him the money. The man immediately finds the girl, but the girl thinks he's back to being the same gangster he was before. No matter how much he explained, she wouldn't take the money, because he couldn't forgive the man for leaving him 2 years ago. During the struggle, the man's condition flared up again. He took the girl into his arms. Struggling to how the girl would never know that this would be the last time the two of them would ever embrace. After this, the man disappeared from the girl's world again, until the day of her father's death. The man came to say goodbye for the last time. He lied that he was leaving for another city, and that he would never return. As he was leaving, he accidentally saw the book in the corner with the dating agreement painted on it. Each box in it represents one of the happiest hours of his life. He understands that the girl still loves him, but now he has lost the ability to love her. Soon the man is on a shuttle bus to another city. But at that moment, the man looked out of the window and saw the girl talking to a man. Uneasy, he wanted to go over and find out what was going on. It turned out that the man was a blind date for the girl. He looked like he was from a very good family. He must be better off than a gangster like himself. The man's heart finally dropped. Now he could finally leave with peace of mind. But before he could take a few steps, the man suddenly fell to the ground bleeding profusely. When he woke up again, he found himself in hospital. When he paid the bill, he found that the girl's name was already written on it. It turns out that the girl had found him while he was unconscious. From the man's friends, the girl learns the truth. They met on a street corner. The girl was in tears. She couldn't believe how much she loved the man in front of her. He had to suffer all the pain in silence to make herself happy for the rest of her life. The girl bowed deeply. She owed it to her father for the day of his death, and to thank him for all he had done in silence. The two of them did not hug or talk that night. They cried their hearts out all night. After that, the girl would always be by the man's side to look after her, even though the healing process was painful. But the man would still pretend to be relaxed, so that the girl could worry less. Seeing that her condition was getting worse and worse, the girl asked the man if there was anything in particular he wanted to do.
그냥 걷고 얘기하는 정도.
He answered in such a serious way, but the girl was saddened. At that moment she wished that the man in front of her was a little more serious. The man seemed to realize something. He takes out the prepared heart and places it in the girl's hand. With a loving kiss the man passed away forever. Perhaps after this, there will never be another man like him to love a girl. On the day of the funeral, the girl took the heart she had made. She fell into endless contemplation. Just then, the man's father slowly approached the girl. He told her a secret that the man was still alive. It was the man's dying wish that he had told him to do.
나 사실 장가갈 뻔했었다. 근데 내가 다 망쳤어. 지 아버지 몸져 누워 있을 때도 오랫동안 병수발 했었어. 그런 애한테 어떻게 내 병수발까지 하라고 그래. 나 없어도 내 만나면 잘해줘야 돼, 아버지. 내가 아버지가 없어. 그러니까 아버지가 아버지 좀 해줘. 아버지 아들이야. 진짜 사랑하는 여자야.
It turned out that from the first moment the man saw the girl, he had planned to leave everything good to this woman. When he found out that he had cancer, everything seemed so small and helpless, so helpless that he could only send his last bit of love to his father. From then on, the father would drive the bus every day, waiting for the girl to come home from work on time. Two people who didn't know each other because they loved the same person in their hearts. They became family. Sitting in the car, the girl suddenly cried her heart out. They say that time is the best medicine, but the memories of love don't fade with time. Come on, because memories are often sadder than love.
All right, go on, beat it, all of you. Peter, you're not going to be having a three-way with Lois and her friend. Lois isn't even into women. She just had that one experience in college with that girl Naomi. Naomi's the one who's coming. Let me stay. Let me stay.